Welcome to NASCAST 500, the only NASCAR podcast that says Smooshy is the face of evil. Filling in for Elizabeth Moxley, I'm Adam Hammond. I'm joined by my good buddy,
Phil Matthew.
Hey, what's going on, Phil?
Just coming back from a good, needed vacation that involved going to Pocono this weekend, so I got some insider views from actually being at the track.
Yeah, Pocono, well, tends to usually be Borefest, but Capital Truck Series had a great race, but the finish was bullshit. Basically, Kryle took the win after his 3 in a row at Indy, and he came back and ruined what could have been a good race for the truck drivers. Reddick was the highest finishing truck driver in third, driving for Brad. Cameron Haley for Red Horse, actually doing a good job and actually outshining the rest of his teammates. We had the Incinerator in there. We had too many Cup guys in the race today. We had 4 with Kyle, Harvick, Brad, and
Dylan,
and the Incinerator.
Yeah.
Sauter actually showing that he can drive again, which is surprising. Timothy Peters and then Matt Tifft, who took over the 54 after Christopher Bell's win in Eldora. Daniel Hemrick, who announced he's getting engaged to Caitlin Oh-So-Sweet. Hopefully him and her are bumping uglies. I never knew that before. Jones started on the pole, spun out late. Brad and Crafton got into it. Crafton ended up having a bad day and got into Brad. Both of them finished outside the top 25. Basically, it was a clusterfuck. The fact that Alabama man finished ahead of Crafton just shows you what the fuck really happened. I don't really care that Kyle won. I mean, it's surprising that he didn't run a truck race his entire season up until now. And of course, just like his Michigan triumph when his first return to Xfinity, he goes to victory lane. I believe it was really rigged from the get-go. I mean, then again, the last couple weeks have been rigged to let Kyle win. When the 48 wins, you know there's some rigging going on in there, but with this case, it's something different. Want to give an attaboy, though, to Hemrick, who came home with another 9th. That seems to be his place lately. But I really want to give an attaboy to Cameron Haley. I think the kid's coming into his own. I figure by next year he'll have a great car, great run. I think maybe he'll have a chance to run for the championship. But whatever. It's just another excuse for a Cup driver to win. I mean, Austin Dillon won last year. We haven't really seen a great Pocono truck race since Ryan Blaney won in 2012. So it's we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. But whatever. Kyle can just go chuck on a dick.
Yeah, I mean, with that, I mean, the race was basically decided 5 laps into the race when Harvick went and took it 3 wide into the 3rd turn, and Matt Crafton decided to turn right, and Brad had to actually make the turn, and turned him and the 88 and the 29 into the wall, took both of them out. That was the end of the day. That killed Crafton's huge points lead and actually made it interesting again with some intriguing races coming up, Bristol and Mosport, among others. He alleged that Brad did it on purpose, and that's, I mean, when he throws bitch fits like Kevin Hart, it's funny because they both come from Bakersfield, so it kind of must be like a Bakersfield thing. No offense to you, Adam, because you're from the area, but like it seems like all those guys, they just get into like Jimmy Johnson, when he gets wronged, he throws bitch fits. Gordon, it's like a California thing where they all throw bitch fits when they think somebody did them wrong. It's like I hate to burst your bubble, Matt Crafton, but you turned across Brad Keselowski's truck. I mean, he has no skin in the game other than to try to win that race. It was 3 wide. An intelligent person, Dale Earnhardt, for example, somebody who's a champion, you're supposed to be a champion, a 2-time champion, you dump it out of the freaking throttle and you let both of them get through the corner and you go and live to fight another day. You don't go and drive through the corner and then take Keselowski out and then act like a moron and think that he took you out intentionally. Brad doesn't do that. I mean, look, whatever you think of Brad Keselowski, there's plenty of people don't like him. I hate to break this to you. The guy's got a ton of talent. He has a big mouth, and he does look like Baba Booey, but notwithstanding, the guy can drive a vehicle. He wouldn't be in one of the best rides, and he wouldn't be owning his own stuff if he wasn't talented. So the logic that he wanted to turn Matt Kraft in for the betterment of his own driver, I think, is a joke. And he's probably going to eat those words eventually. If you can't beat Brad Keselowski heads up, you have to go and come up with that. Like it's a joke. Reddick or Jones haven't been able to get to the 88. So if he had just backed off and waited till later, he could have probably passed the 29. He would have still gotten the top 5 finish, and he would have maintained his points lead. Instead, he decided to wreck himself and wreck Brad in the process. That basically ruined the race because Harvick didn't have any pace, the 33 didn't have any pace. The 4 and the 19 really weren't relevant either. There was some fuel involved, but then they had a bunch of different like green, white checkers and crap. The 05 and John Rex Townley and Mason Dingus wrecked. Before that, it was Jones, Timothy Peters, and Dillon. So they had 3 green-white checkers and made it a 69-lap race. It was basically a Busch benefit. Nobody really should be shocked by that. Him and Jones were the only 2 people that led, really. And, I mean, whatever. I'm indifferent. I've gotten to the point where I know that if Kyle Busch is in an Xfinity or a truck race, he's probably going to win. And the people that blow it up and make it seem as though it's great is, that they're either Kyle Busch fans or just morons, or the media. At the end of the day, I really don't care. What he does on Sunday is what matters because that's his actual job. And he actually has been doing pretty well. And just as Randy, my buddy, said, who I hung out with, and he's a Stewart fan first, but he's like the Busch, like Kurt and Kyle. And he said, look, Joe Gibbs has been on a heater for a while, ever since he came back. Seems convenient. He's winning a lot. It looks like a Hendrick kind of deal. And the conspiracy theories aside, which I am no better than I am guilty of that. Look, he's going to win on Saturday. Winning on Sunday, that when you win in different racetracks and things like that, we're going to look into that later, the way that race ended. But I'll take it or leave it. I mean, if you went to the truck race, you knew pretty much a Cup guy was going to win, considering how loaded the race was. 2 former Truck Series champion and Incinerator, 2 former Xfinity champion, or 3 former Xfinity champions and 2 former Cup champions among that group. I mean, one of those 4 was probably going to win. So I'm just glad in the end that now it's a points battle. It's 16 points. It's given, even though Erik Jones got wrecked there at the end, I'm glad that he's back in the points battle now. It's 16 points for him. So it should be an interesting final 11 races. Now we're at halfway through the season. We're in early August, but halfway through the season now in the trucks, and it's going to get really tough real soon. I went a little long. Hemrick, give credit to Tift and Hemrick for their runs. I mean, Hemrick is basically, it doesn't really matter what he does because he's winning in life. In terms of Tift, he's the Ken Trader junior driver. Next race, Cody Coughlin, of the Coughlin Jegs family. He's going to be driving that 54 or one of those trucks at Bristol or whenever their next race is, if it's Michigan, Bristol, whatever it is. And so that's basically it. I was there for the truck race. It was all right, but when I saw that the 29 and the 88 were out, I knew that basically the 2 trucks that could really give Kyle trouble were gone, and that basically ended all the mystery.
Well, I mean, the trucks at Pocono, like I said, it's usually Cup benefits most of the time. Ryan Blaney's the last non-Cup driver to win, but whatever. We'll see what happens next year. But and Pocono tends to be boring anyways.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go on to the Xfinity race at Iowa, the U.S. Cellular 250. I know that's a bit of a mind fuck, but Iowa tends to put on good shows as it always does. And what do you know? I picked him on Wednesday to win this race, and he ended up doing it. That was Ryan Blaney. I figured after his fuck up at Indy, or should I say Derek Hope's fuck up at Indy, that's what really cost him the race. Came back, basically raped the field, led the most laps, and basically show that he's a contender. Why Roger Penske hasn't put him in the 22 full-time, I'll never know. And instead of just giving the 12 or whatever number they could think of for Brad Magana and all the other cuppies that end up making it into the field. But I figured Blaney would be hungry after losing at Indy to Pee Wee Herman to come back and win and do it in fine style and have the car that was basically untouchable. It was a great thing to see. I saw the highlights. It was last start for Kenny Wallace, who's now becoming a shill on Fox, and unfortunately, I like the dude. I've respected him, but now he's becoming like Jeff Hammond or Larry Mack or DW, unfortunately. But he still was a good driver back in the day. Too bad he's a paid shill now. Great finish for Smith, who finally got into the top 5 for the first time in fuck knows how long. With the announcement that Elliott Sadler is going to be moving over to Junior Motorsports in 2015. I know. I'll never understand that for whatever fucking reason. But good news is Smith will be back next year in the 7, so there's no worries about a ride next year. Brian Scott, who actually looked like a driver again, finished 3rd, but we all know damn well he ain't winning a race anytime soon because of his bad luck. Ty Dillon, our buddy Michael Sanders from keeping an eye on the NASCAR media, picked him to win. He finished 4th. Brendan Gaughan, a good finish for him, and was the second Richard Childress, actually 3 in a row for Childress, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in terms of their Xfinity cars. Burrito Boy, who won the pole, which was ironic, which is weird considering the only pole he knows is the pole at Taco Bell. He ended up having problems late, had to pit for what seemed to be a loose wheel, and ended up losing a lap. How he finished 6th, I'll never know.
Probably
Erik
got
Jones,
all the wrecks that were going on. That probably helped him.
Right. Erik Jones, who also made an announcement today that he'll be moving to Xfinity full-time in 2016 for Joe Gibbs. We don't know if he's going to be in the 54, the 20, or the 18, but good news is we'll see him in Xfinity full-time next year. At least Gibbs made one good decision this year in Xfinity. Also want to give a shout-out to Ross Chastain, who came up with the 10th place driving that furniture mover car. I mean, honestly, when you see guys like that in the top 10, it gives you it's a good feeling considering that Ford team is running in the back with guys like
Erik McClure,
Erik McClure, Mike Harmon, all those other has-beens or never-wases. It was good for him. I also want to give a shout-out to Ryan Sieg, who got with another 12th place finish. He's really starting to become an underdog, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year he lands himself a good Xfinity ride because the kid's talented. He's just been in shitty equipment. Blaney's win was kind of overlooked by the fights on pit road between the Roush drivers, with Ryan Reed getting up in Ross Chastain's grill and Bubba having a war with words, so to speak, with his crew chief Scott Graves. So it's
with Buescher's crew chief.
With Buescher's crew chief. I keep forgetting that he's not his crew chief. I've read it wrong, but that was basically overshadowed. But Ryan Blaney deserved the win. Definitely deserving after what happened at Indy. He was the only guy that led more than 5 laps throughout the whole race.
He destroyed the fucking thing. I didn't know he led 252 laps.
252 of the 260. Blaney led 252. Smith led 4. Chastain led 3. And is that Buescher?
Chase led
Sieg led 1 lap.
Chase led 3. Yeah.
Oh, Chase led 3. Okay.
Yeah. He knocked off the right side of that car, had a bunch of crap going on. I mean, if it wasn't going to be Blaney, it was probably going to be Kaz or Pizza Face. Somebody, they have a setup for that place for sure. And I mean, for me, I'm a Blaney shill. I have no problem admitting that. I spent plenty of money at Pocono to prove that. I am a Ryan Blaney fan, and I don't have a problem admitting it, mainly because that he is dirty. That dude is dirty. And he is as humble as can be. He just opened a can on the field. Like, he was just calm as can be. Like, he's supposed to do that. And it's the same way as, Adam just said about the last time a regular won at Pocono in the truck race. He was the same way, and for one of my former bosses, not even a former boss, I still kind of work for her, but I really don't. She's like, he's not excited. I'm like, he's Ryan Blaney. Have you ever seen his dad, Dave Blaney? Dave Blaney is cool as ice. He kind of expects to win. When he was in the World of Outlaws driving the Vibrant car, he expected to win. And it's the same way Ryan Blaney, he kind of feels like he has to. And after losing at Indy, that would have been the biggest win of his career in a stock car. To go and just open a can on the field, you would assume the 22, and multiple people picked the 22, and that's the right way to go. I deviated for the sake of, just for the sake of it, but I had a feeling he was going to win because he was going to be pissed. And a pissed off Ryan Blaney is, not somebody you want to deal with. And based on the results, it was basically a benefit. I mean, behind him, there was a lot of hijinks going on. Brendan Gaughan, who proves now that ever since he got out of the not premium motorsports team, he's kind of got an extra kick in his step. And he actually gave Blaney the business and almost won that thing. He actually gave it a good shot, trying to pass him last couple of restarts. Regan Smith showed he had a pulse this weekend. Elliott had a good car. They had a strategy call there late where they went with 2 tires and it didn't work. Ernie Copes, they're trying so hard to try to win a race that it's almost like it's a forced job. Erik Jones flew from Pocono to Iowa instead of them letting Drew Herring or whoever, somebody, drive that car. I'm no offense to Erik Jones. I'd rather saw Drew Herring drive that car and see what he could have done. He's been a loyal domestique, as they say in cycling, and he's just kind of gotten the raw deal. Kind of like Eric Almirola back in 2005 in Milwaukee when he got basically got rammed for no lube by Joe Gibbs and Denny Hamlin, or 2007, whatever. Yeah, 2007. And that basically ended his time with Joe Gibbs. Suarez qualifying on pole, it's like, whatever, who cares? I mean, he had a fast car. If Bubba Wallace was in that car, he'd have probably won, but that's a whole other point. Bubba Wallace's rivalry with Chris Buescher. Buescher didn't want to say anything, and Bubba Wallace basically lied on air in his post-race interview when Scott Graves went and said something offensive to him probably, and he grabbed him or whatever that was. That was one thing that was going on the pit road. Then you had Ryan Wrecking Reed, who hit about 7 cars or hit like 3 or 4 cars coming on a pit road, ran over a bunch of people, and then sucker pushed what's his name, Ross Chastain. Then Ross Chastain trolled him on NBC by saying, yeah, he had his helmet on, I couldn't hear anything he was saying, showing him he was a bitch, because if you're going to talk shit, at least take your helmet off. Then Kenny Wallace in his final NASCAR race. He was a good driver. He was a good Xfinity driver, and before it became like he needed the money to pay for his dirt modified, he wasn't a shill. Now he's a shill. He actually had a good ride. Another example of where Drew Herring should have been in the car. He would have probably ran better. He got involved in about 3 or 4 different wrecks. Still finished 15th. He did a lot for the series. He won in the Red Dog car. He won in the one for his brother in the 36 car, the Cox Lumber car. He had a strong mullet back in the day, so that goes to Adam's heart. Drove the freaking Dirt Devil car. I mean, Kenny Wallace race car driver Kenny Wallace gets to go and spend time with his buddy Kenny Schrader, and I'm pretty sure Tony's going to join him eventually there. Bubba getting an 11th place finish. He probably should have gotten a top 10, but him and Buescher got into it. This, long story short, there is a bunch of, starting parks, a lot of hijinks that went on during the day, a lot of guys driving hard. The points battle, it's a 20-point lead for Buescher over Chase Elliott, 21 to Ty Dillon, and they're going to 3 road courses here in the next 4 weeks, and that this month and Bristol. So they're going to, or not Michigan, they're going to 3 road courses, Bristol and Darlington. This next 5 races will probably determine your champion in Xfinity. I mean, I've been on the Buescher bandwagon all year. I figure he's going to be in a Cup car next year, whether or not he wins this title, along with Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon. But this next 5 races is going to determine it all. And I think by the end of it, he's probably going to have an insurmountable points lead. And it'll take like blown engines for him to basically lose it at that point.
Yeah, I figure if it's going to be a championship battle, I'm going to pick Buescher for the title because he's been strong all year. I think he's going to do it. Personally, if he doesn't, it's just I don't care who wins it as long as it's not a Dillon or a Suarez. Well, we know that's not going to happen.
Well, Suarez ain't winning, that's for damn sure.
Well, one thing we do know for sure is that Kyle Busch got owned on Sunday. That's all we know. With Pocono, with the Windows 10 400. Before I go any further, really, this is what had to sponsor this race? I mean, Pocono hasn't had a good sponsorship for this race in years. Going from the GoBowling.com 400 to the...
Hey, man, hey, I'm a bowling purist. Let's leave bowling alone. No, I mean, I know it's kind of corny, but it's better. Look, the control, I'm just going to go on the side here. Randy Ridgway, Driz81, he's my good buddy. He basically went and tweeted what I said, the Control-Alt-Delete 400. He added the blue screen comment after Candy Cane went and tried to wipe out. Like that, the only thing I missed about not being at home was all the bad Windows puns that I could have made on social media. I mean, it's a horrible sponsor. I even stole a hat. I stole a hat from a goontard because they were giving out free hats at the Windows 10 tent, and they were giving them to Junebug fans. I went and gave some bullshit cockamamie story and said, oh, Tony and Junebug are friends. That was my honest to God reason. She goes, the dumbass chick goes and says, are you going to wear it? I'm like, hell yeah, I am. I took it. Me and Randy walked out of the line and went to our seats. Stole them from 2 goontards. Get her done, Junior! I'll tell you what, I want to go get one of them hats. I know that all those people want to go and get them hats. I mean, Junebug's all it's all about, and I want to go and fans want to go and wear them Windows 10. Windows 10. I didn't even know there was a Windows 10. I'm back on Windows 95, and I don't know how to use a computer. My people go and tell me how to use it, and Kelly tells me how to do it, and social media too. I don't know how to type all that stuff. Kelly types all that stuff, and my agent and all that. But it's all good.
Oh God, we love doing Boomhauer puns. Jesus Christ, that's like one of the best things about this show. Well, basically, Kyle got owned, which was hilarious. Started on the pole. It's another thing I wanted to say that after his miraculous win at Indy, that he magically wins the pole at Pocono and is going for his 4th win. I mean, it's fucking obvious that the shows at NASCAR are allowing this to happen so that this fucker can make the chase and with his bum leg and then flopping the chase like he always does. Like, if you're a fan of Kyle Busch and you think that he's doing it on a hot streak, good for you. You want a fucking cookie. But for the people who actually believe that this seems a little too coincidental, then maybe you should open your eyes because this is some bullshit. The fact that this guy who hasn't won more than 3 races since pre-2009 is now suddenly on a hot streak again, I call bullshit. Because if he wasn't this good in the last 5-6 years, it makes you think he's going to be good anytime soon. I just think it's a little too coincidental. I'm going to go with watching the last few laps. Basically, Logano and Kyle battled it out for the lead. Logano led the most laps. Kyle, of course, managed to get by Logano when Logano ran out of fuel. Logano had the lead for half a lap out of nowhere. Here came Kenseth out of nowhere, 16 seconds behind, ran Kyle down and took the lead and won. And Kyle admitted something that actually needed to be admitted. He said, I think we got a little too greedy. Yeah, you're always too greedy, Kyle. You want to win every fucking thing in sight.
He was too greedy.
Yeah, he's too greedy, not the team. The team, shit, Kyle could be with Jimmy Johnson's team right now, and he'd still say that shit. Kyle's greedy. He wants to win every goddamn thing there is to win, and if he doesn't win, he runs like a little bitch. That's how he's been ever since he started his NASCAR career. Whether you want to admit it or not, you know it's fucking true.
He threw Stevens under the bus in the process, which, I mean, Randy and I were talking about how great of a job Stevens did in the Crispies commercial, doing Bobby D, and he basically threw him under the bus when he told Kyle to slow down. And if he had slowed down, then he probably would have won that race. Because Logano didn't slow down. It was basically, there was only 3 guys that did anything on Sunday. It was Joey Logano and the Busch brothers. There was a bunch of guys that led laps, conveniently. There was only, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that led at least 5 laps, going with the same pattern that's gone all year. But he ignored multiple prompts from his crew chief to slow down. If he did, he wouldn't have finished worse than 10th. He got sent back to 21st because Roid Rage went and pushed him across the line, so he was the first car a lap down. Frankly, it shouldn't have been the first car a lap down. He should have been the last car a lap down, and he would have went and finished. He would have finished freaking 30th, and that would have been more of a penalty because he would have only gained 2 points. He ended up gaining 11 points. On 30th, which is David Gilliland. I mean, keep going, Adam. I just wanted to add that in.
Well, I mean, I watched highlights because, yet again, I wasn't able to watch the race because it's on NBCSN. And
need to download the app. The app is really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because I'm tired of not watching the Cup race. But our buddy Michael Sanders made a good point. I think the reason why they put the Brickyard on NBCSN was a way to get them to pay for NBCSN, and it obviously didn't work. But whatever. I mean, I'm content with not watching the race, considering most of the time it's bullshit, whether the 18 wins or the 48 wins. Nowadays it seems like. Wanted to give a couple of mentions. Harvick blew out late, didn't have a good run. Him and Kurt were battling for the lead. Out of nowhere, he blows an engine and has his worst finish of the year, nearly dead last. Candy Cane brought out the first caution, hitting the wall with his Aquafina car. I mean, it's obviously that his car looked like shit compared to his normal cars. The fact that he hit the wall not even 2 laps in just shows you that why Rick Hendrick's putting him in the 5, I'll never know. Probably because he could sell more trinkets to pubescent teenage girls who need to get off to NASCAR drivers. I mean, since Dale Jr.'s taken, I guess they're going to have to go down to Candy Cane because that's the best they could get. And every week, Richard!
Oh, Richard!
Hit the wall late and then ran with Hornish in the wall. The minute I saw the replay of Richard hitting the wall, I cannot stop saying, oh, Richard. That's like force of habit. I mean, if you don't say, oh, Richard, then come on.
You and me both. I was on fire with the O Richards. I got Randy in on it. We had fun. Like, we were basically yelling crap at every driver during driver intros. I was doing O Richards. I was doing you proud, man. I was doing myself proud, let alone everybody else. Like, people didn't get it, and I was like, that's his name. His name is Richard. You know, so I was yelling, "Oh, Richard!" and he hits the fence head on. It's like we thought he ate it, and instead he He went and ran in, like, basically Sam Hornish was a battering ram. He basically was a pinball all day. He was a dart without feathers, taking a line from Tony Stewart. He tried to knock off every corner off his piece of shit. His car was such a piece of shit. It was running. He had problems before the start, and then he went and knocked off the front end and. That wreck with Richard, and my goodness, it's like, why the fuck didn't he park the car? It was just a waste of time. But he ran better than Premium Motor. He was running so fast he passed the not Premium Motorsports cars multiple times. That's how bad they were. But that's a whole other thing.
Speaking of Premium Motorsports, they actually made the race. Holy shit! With Reen Soren suck in the 98 since Timmy Hill was in the 62, they switched sponsorships. They switched manufacturers on the cars. Instead of the 98 being a Ford, it's a Chevy, and the 62's now a Ford, not a Chevy. It's like, who the fuck cares? You can change it to Toyota and still wouldn't help. I mean, fucking BK Racing. Here's another thing who ended up passing him. Fucking Matt DiBenedetto finished better than those fuckers. But then
he's
going to
win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, more than likely. That's pretty sad considering he's going to be Rookie of the Year when Jeb Burton, who could have had a chance to win Rookie of the Year, is driving a furniture mover out of fucking
BK as well. Like right now, it's crazy because Brett Moffitt, who's had a pretty brutal run recently, it's a 1-point lead for Moffitt over Burton. If DiBenedetto could actually run well for a few weeks in a row, he might be able to actually get into the business right there. I mean, that goes into something we can talk about later about the whole weekend, but the BK Racing is bad, but not subprime loan motorsports doesn't deserve to be out there. It's a joke. They're just a waste of space. They're field fillers, and I mean, Timmy Hill's got some sort of malfunction, and Reed Sorensuck has an ego problem. That's why he's driving a start and park every single week and thinks it's okay. The fastest laps they ran all day was the laps they were trying to do to catch up to the field under caution because they were so shitty. I mean, that's how bad they are. They were getting mocked by all the Junebug fans, all the other hillbillies I was around. I wasn't the only brown person at that race either. There was a few brown people a few rows behind me. And, of course, because it was a Windows 10 400, there had to be the token brown guy because it's computers. But
I'm just glad that Kyle didn't win. Kenseth deserved the win, honestly, because he hasn't been on a tear in quite a long time. Basically, Kyle's been the face of JGR again like he was in 2008. Now Kenseth actually has a chance to shine. Brad came home second with that Alliance Truck Parts car, which looks badass. I'm really looking forward to his Miller Genuine Draft Scheme in Michigan.
The midnight car, yeah.
That's going to be badass. Gordon actually getting a top 5 for the first time in quite a long time in his last Pocono appearance. Won this race in 2012, his last Pocono victory. It was a
all-time winner there at Pocono.
Yep. I mean, we were talking about Boomhauer coming home with a 4th place finish. I mean, the fact that he actually finished inside the top 5 at Pocono after his brilliant sweep a year ago. I mean, I wonder if his post-race interview would have sounded like this.
Do you know this guy?
No dadgum way, man. It's just some dirty old man hanging around with sex toys, man. Back at my place if you're interested.
He said sex toys.
I just had to. Good God. We can't not do Boomhauer jokes on this show. Holy shit, Biffle actually finished in the top 5.
Bug-eyed dummy. That bug-eyed dummy. You need to play Boomhauer there, too, because that's Sterling Moreland.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. I miss that fucker. Biffle actually coming on the top 5. That's pretty surprising. Fuckface in the 48. Who cares? Allmendinger 7th. I want to give an attaboy to him for great run at Pocono. We're going to Watkins Glen next week where he won. Hopefully he can go back-to-back and have a chance to make the chase. It's not been a really good sophomore year after making the chase, but I got confidence in the Dinger. There's been a lot of news about Boyer and his chance probably to move over to CGR in 2016, but we haven't heard shit from him. I hope he does leave Mongoloid Waltrip Racing. Holy shit, our boy, Tony Stewart. Stewart actually finished in the top 10. Good on Smoke for actually looking like a driver again.
Should have finished 6th. He had a top. He actually made spots. I'll get into my thing. I'm sorry.
Holy shit, let's see. Edwards actually finished inside the top 10. Menard.
Roid Rage.
Young Money actually did finish inside the top 10 for
Larson
and DJ Craze. That's not my nickname. My nickname is Boomhauer, I'll tell you what.
Landon Castle getting a 14th.
Castle finished ahead of Miss Hummer. That's pretty funny.
She actually led laps. I took pictures of that. I'm like, she actually led laps on merit. She passed Johnson, and oh my God, I got a lot. I'm sorry. I got a lot going for this. I didn't have enough beer, and I was feeling pretty terrible. But I got a lot of energy on this race and this weekend. So
Truex didn't do so hot with. He finished 19th after winning in June. He led 6 laps, but he didn't finish inside the top 20. Strategy. Basically, Kenseth won. He needed the win. Glad it wasn't another Pee Wee Herman benefit, because if it would have been 4 in a row, I would have just quit right there. I mean, I'm done. They're going to give him the championship just so they could say, oh, great, what a comeback. Fucking what? It's so rigged. It's so fucking rigged.
Yeah, I mean, for me, watching Kenseth win, I thought about Nate, our good buddy and supporter, my good friend and coworker, because he always talks about how bad Matt Kenseth is at Pocono, and he was like, oh, if he got a 4th place finish, that would have been by far his best finish at Pocono. He hates Pocono. He sucks there. And all of a sudden, he goes and passes the Mosquito and the backstretch on the final lap and wins that race. And I was so happy for him as much as anything. And Kenseth does great burnouts, and you knew you'd be excited to win because it's like, how the fuck did I win at Pocono? That's basically what he was thinking. That race took the first 30 laps of that race were god awful. There was 4 cautions, a red flag. It was a mess. But the final 5 laps were pretty darn good. All the craziness with the fuel and different strategy. Kez mowed down his Baba Booey mowed down his pit crew earlier in the day, got posted, had to get a lap back, came from 36th, then finished 2nd. Jeffy had a good strategy, was able to play it out, and after June, when Alan Gustafson completely shit the bed, Jeff Gordon's final start at Pocono, where he's the all-time winner, and Brandon Nigodolski didn't do anything for him, which is fucked up. Other than put his name down on the front stretch right on the other side of the line, finished 3rd. Goontard got a speeding penalty and somehow or another finished 4th. That's convenient. AJ finishing 7th. Good strategy by him and Brian Burns. Boyer kind of benefited from all the crap that happened because he had fallen back to about 17th. His eventual move to CGR is going to be great for him and for Larson and McMurray. That'll make a good team. Wished he was going to the 10, but obviously we're stuck with Miss Hummer. Smoke had a top 10 car, top 15, no worse. He would have finished 6th or 5th, ran out of fuel coming down the front stretch, lost 3 positions right at the line, finished 9th. Menard kind of just his usual thing. Larson was very careful, and that's basically why he finished 12th. He probably had a chance to win. There was a time I was wearing my Larson uniform shirt, which I overspent on at the Fanatics tent, but I knew I wanted it, so it explains that, and that's a story we'll talk about in a minute. Dylan had a better car than where he finished, frankly. I mean, I'm no Dylan fan. I mean, whatever. I don't care about the number. I don't think he's as good as what people make him out to be. He actually ran well. Should have probably got a top 10 out of it, finished 14th. Props to Castle. Great run for them and the Hillman team, 14th. Good strategy by them. Other than that, Truex for a while. There was a minute I thought I was going to see back-to-back for Truex, and I don't know where their strategy went. It went down the toilet. Logano dominated the race, and I was kind of hoping he would have won. It would have been cool to see Pizza Face win instead of Kyle. Basically, if it's not the 48, 88, 10, or 5, I don't really mind. In terms of other than that, Hornish being basically a dart without feathers, that was hilarious. He was a joke in the whole entire stands. Kurt Busch had a brutal that wreck that he had with Hornish and whoever basically butchered his day. He had a car that could have won the race and broke a track bar. And Richard hitting the wall, just all the I don't know if he's ever finished a race properly at Pocono. Every time I seem to go to Pocono, he hits something or someone. So I don't know what's going on with him with that. Trevor Bayne blew up, and Justin Allgaier, I don't know how he wasn't blowing up. He was on 6 or 7 cylinders for the last 30 laps of that race. Candy Cane trying to eat it early, took out the pit wall, brought out a red flag. I mean, in one of the gayest looking cars I've ever seen. It kind of fits him that he would drive an Aquafina car because he's a pussy. He only made 3 laps, and the late start for NBC gave me and Randy a chance to go and look for cars at the private tents, but in the end, it made it a really long and tiring day. I don't get why they're doing this. It's fucking with people and fucking with, commuting and all that stuff. And I don't give a fuck what they're trying to do for TV. It doesn't make ratings because NBCSN isn't in enough houses. So start the races at 1 o'clock like they used to be and keep it that way. That's the way it should be. Instead of moving them around, starting Indy at 4 o'clock is a joke. Starting Pocono at 1:30, 1:45 is a joke. Because the shitty Pennsylvania state cops, which is a whole other rant in itself, Officer Bar Brady, based on both Randy and a South Park reference, some jackass yelling at us when we were driving into the track because he was doing stupid hand signals as though like he had some sort of malfunction, and he was yelling and being an asshole. There was that. Then the Pocono Raceway with the parking fucking us over, and basically if it weren't for Randy's iRacing skills, we wouldn't have been able to get out of there. Then putting the private tents out, which, I'm glad for Kenseth, mainly because of Nate. It's like most Kenseth wins. It's like take it or leave it, whatever. If you're a fan, you're ecstatic. If you're not, it's whatever. You don't mind. For me, I'm fine with it because I know my friend's a Kenseth fan, and he never thought in a million years that Kenseth would ever win there. So 33rd career win. He ties DJ or passes DJ. So he has 2 Daytona 500 wins, Southern 500 wins, 600 win. He's basically locked up Hall of Fame status. If he hadn't already, basically locked it up on Sunday. But there was a lot of other shit that went on with Pocono that we could go and do a whole other show about.
Yeah, I'm glad that Kenseth won because he needed a win. Just like I said, as long as it's not the 48, the 18, or the 22, I don't give a really rat fuck who wins. I would say the 10, but we all know Miss Hummer, the only thing she's going to win is a load in her mouth. We all know that's all she can win.
She takes plenty of them. Just like Aaron Crocker.
Yep, the really skinny girl chick looking version of Jeff Gordon. Oh, by the way, it's Jeff Gordon's birthday today. So I just want to say happy birthday to Jeff Gordon, who turns 44. Jesus Christ. Cannot believe he's that old. It's also Kurt's birthday today. Kurt turns 37 today. So I want to say happy birthday to two of my favorite drivers in this sport. Hopefully they do something this weekend at Watkins Glen.
Actually, I want to go and give a shout-out to Kurt. I've kind of, after the Pocket Commando bullshit, I became a Kurt supporter. He also drives for Smoke, sorta, kinda. He actually favorited my Twitter post, so props to him. He's a better guy than what people promote him to be, and he doesn't do himself any favors in the media. Neither does his brother, but he's gotten better, and that whore trying to go and destroy him basically made it so that men should stick together, and that's the thing. I got a lot of support for the 41 and hoping that if Tony isn't going to win or get anywhere near the chase, which it probably isn't going to happen, even though he's had kind of a pickup recently, I'm kind of hoping that 41 goes and kind of shivs NASCAR with that.
Well, I love to see Stewart win. Watkins Glen's probably his best shot. I think that's probably the next couple of chances he'll have. Bristol's not one of his best anymore, so I figure if any of these tracks are going to be Stewart's chance to make it, I figure it'll either be Watkins Glen or Richmond, but I highly doubt it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what else in terms of other news of the week. I figure, is this a good time to talk about the debut of the new Fanatics deal?
Definitely.
Yeah. So, I had an experience because their first week of the new Fanatics superstore, or whatever you want to call it. If you're a fan of Junebug or you're a fan of a Hendrick car or Joe Gibbs, you would be pretty happy. If you're a fan of somebody other than that, I don't think so. In terms of the Penske team, they're in trailers until 16. They weren't able to make the deal, or Penske, because he's a multi-billionaire. He wanted the deal that fit for him, so they'll be in there in 16. I personally, Randy Driz81, good dude. The only person I've ever met that basically has got a knowledge or thing of the sport like me. He has a more positive view of the world than I do. I've been beaten down. I've got a few more years on it. That might help. But he had a good takeaway on it. Claire B. Mushmouth went and when I said I made a post about the tents or about that, and then he was like lame talking about the private sellers not being in there. They basically wasted most of the space that would have been allowed for the private sellers for some bullshit. They put an extra Junebug trailer, a Gordon trailer, and a Harvick trailer. And then some bullshit PBR thing and some other garbage. They basically wasted the space where the independent sellers would have always been. They wasted that space, which insulted me as a fan, because I'm not trying to pay overpriced for a lot of the things. I'll give them credit on their attire. The attire was very... It was presented in a way where you could look for your size. I was able to find my Larson Pitt shirt, uniform shirt. I was able to, if I wanted to find more attire, the sale tent, as I mentioned earlier, on Sunday had a lot of good choices. If you were, a Hendrick fan or SHR Sam Stewart or like a Gibbs fan, not everybody. The car selection, because I'm a die-cast collector, was lacking greatly. Way too much in cost. Hopefully by next June they'll have more stock. That was one bummer. The positive, I'll say, like the new drivers, they had a Landon. Like, who in the world would have known they'd make a Landon Castle shirt? They did. Randy wore it. It's a cool shirt, nice look. Castle was hitting him up all weekend, and Claire B. Mushmouth was hitting him up all weekend. Check out the Unfiltered blog for a post from him about it. He'll probably have a more positive view than I would. But long story short, over the prices relative to what I want to pay were a little high. If you're just a Junebug fan or you're just whatever, you're going to buy whatever shit for whatever price it is. It's fine. It's got room to improve. I gave it a solid B-, B. I'm a die-cast guy. They need to have more stock for that. Me personally, I support Lucky Dog Collectibles. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter. And their website, all that is not updated as much, mainly because they're on the road. They're going to be at Dover If you're on the East Coast, if you're not on the East Coast, they'll be at Bristol. They're good people, and they gave me really good deals. I am guilty of blowing my wad. I bought about, between that tent, which was outside of Turn 3, we found out after Saturday that they were outside of Turn 3 and basically out in the woods. We went there Sunday. We made a big walk. We did a long trek and got there, and I bought a shitload of cars. And it made my weekend being able to go and do that and talking to them. They're good people. And NASCAR's trying to force them out, and it's bullshit. And the independents, it's the same way they're trying to force the independents out of the different series. They're trying to kill XFinity and trucks. It's the same way they're trying to kill independent sellers. They're not allowing these guys to go and get shirts and other apparel because they want this Fanatics tent to go off. And I think that's bullshit, but it's typical BZF NASCAR. I think eventually it'll be all right if they have more stock, if they take more of a sense of, providing more of the Legends and Young Gun kind of tents, like they add more sales stuff, more die-cast. They had a bunch of Kevin Harvick shit that was autographed after he came over there, and there was some good stuff there. I didn't pay for that stuff. I found a Kevin Harvick car that he basically ran at Phoenix when he won. Got that for $164, $250. I had a haul, 20-plus car haul, and I spent way more money than I probably should have. But the tents outside the track are what are NASCAR. That's what real NASCAR fans want, like myself. Dover's going to have a bunch of them. They might get me just to go down there, and I might just go down there just for that. I won't even go into the racetrack. I refuse to buy the ticket. I'll probably walk around there. But that's the long story short. The Fanatics thing, depending on who you're a fan of, will probably be good. You're going to pay a little more than you probably want to. You can find better deals outside and online if you really wanted to for the things you want.
Yeah, I personally believe this new Fanatics shit, it's gonna implode. The trailer is what made NASCAR be more fan oriented. Where you get all your shit from. That's where I got basically almost all of my diecast from in terms of the ones I've bought over the years. But I think that the fact that they're getting rid of this is just, it's not improving NASCAR's future. It's downgrading it. It's basically just like what the chase has done to the sport. It's not gonna impact it in a good way. It's gonna end up fucking it up, and the fans are not gonna come to the racetrack because they know they won't find the shit they like. They'll find all the other shit that everyone else likes, and that's not what everybody wants.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they have it set up in a manner where if you're a fan of, generally speaking, most of the big name drivers, you have your own area. Junebug's thing took way too much space. I don't care for the guy to begin with, let alone the fact they give him that much space. It's unnecessary. Other than that, I think that there is potential, but they have to understand the clientele that they're working with, and trying to overcharge the market when people aren't showing up to races as it is. The TV, I sat in an area where it seemed like there was a lot of people, minus the row that was in front of me. But the TV did not help the cause of Pocono, which is one of the only places where they draw. So if Pocono didn't have a good draw, God knows what's going to happen at, Bristol or Dover or Chicago or any of those places, which can't draw as it is. That's the thing. I take a more of a wait and see approach. I'm not really a believer. I probably will only find out if I go to Dover in September. That's dependent on money, of course, and what other things that are going on. I do like the trailers, but in the end, if you wanted to look at shirts, it's probably better to look at shirts in this setup. If you're looking for other stuff, it's probably not you could probably, depending, the cars is a totally different thing than the attire, the apparel. The apparel is probably better this way, but I'm a car guy. I've been a car guy basically my whole life. They didn't take care of me as a customer that way. Not yet.
Yeah, I just think it's a bad idea. Well, now we're going to go on, as we were talking about earlier, the two big moves in the Xfinity Series this week came out yesterday. It was announced Elliott Sadler would leave Roush at the end of this year to go join Junior's team. I don't know what car number he'll be driving. And then today we learned Erik Jones is going to take over for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2016 as in a full-time Xfinity ride. I think Jones's news is more newsworthy than worrying about Sadler. So I think the move for Jones into Xfinity is really going to help Joe Gibbs. They're not doing much as it is. Only full-time car running is Suarez. You have the part-timers with the 20 and the whoever gets to drive that car. What most of the time it's Jones and Hamlin and Kenseth, whereas the 54 is mostly Kryle and Jones sharing the ride. Also, Boris said who's going to be in the 54 at Watkins Glen this weekend. So personally, I think Jones should take the 18, but more than likely, the way Gibbs is now, they'll probably put him in the 20 and still let Kryle use his 54 during the Xfinity races. As for Sadler, I really don't care. I mean, Sadler makes a move to different teams every year or every couple years, it seems like. He was with Childress/KHI for quite a while, and then since 2013, he was with Gibbs. Now he's with Roush. Barely 20 races in, and he's already making the move to leave. I don't think it's going to end well for him. He's mostly, Phil said it, we were talking about it a couple days ago. He's basically the MW55 of XFinity. He'll take a sponsor everywhere he goes, but he won't be able to do anything with it.
Exactly.
So I believe that in this case, Jones' deal will work out better, whereas Sadler will just take a ride and just do laps like he's been doing the past 5-6 years, being back in Xfinity.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically, if it wasn't for OneMain Financial, Gomer Pyle wouldn't have a job. He just needs to hit Penske up now, and he'd have driven for every Cup team in Xfinity, which is a fundamental problem. Cup team in Xfinity. Just go and let that sink in for a little bit. To talk about why this series is going down the toilet. Instead of giving Ben Rhodes or Accutane, who won the ARCA race, because basically every good car that was in the ARCA race outside of Accutane got wrecked. There was the guy that Krajewski, who's run by Brian Keselowski, and that hose beast infield Jen. That car was good at the start, but he didn't have enough handling or speed to hold off Accutane for the win there. But one of those two guys probably should have gotten that ride. Instead, they're wasting his seat on a veteran who's useless and hasn't been relevant since mid-2005. He's a nice guy, I guess, and OneMain really likes him, but he's a waste of a seat. Erik Jones getting called up is not really a shocker. What would really shock me is if Coach Gibbs actually put his foot down and said, all right, you're going to drive the monster car, number 54, because he could probably win every single week if that was the case. He won a race. He won a race in the 54. He won at Chicago. He won a race at Texas in the 20. Whatever he does, he wins. It's unusual it seems like he should have won about 6-7 races in half an hour. He should have won 6-7 races this year in the truck, and he's only got like one, I think. And whether he wins a championship or not does not define who he is, because he's going to be a Cup driver, whether it's in the 20 or the 11, soon enough. And that's good news for him. Joe Gibbs, even though he's fucked more people over than he's actually helped. When he does believe in somebody, he probably promotes them. hence he promoted dual personality Hamlin. He should go and also look at Ross Kenseth. That would be another guy to give a look at. But I mean, whatever. It's not shocking anybody. If you didn't think he was going to go to XFinity next year, you were probably living under a rock.
Well, we're going off to Watkins Glen, as we talked about. Going on to the Xfinity race, the Zippo 200. I'm surprised that they're still sponsoring the race, considering the Cup race changes to tends to change sponsors usually every year, it seems like. So we're going to go off. I'm going to go with my picks first. I'm going to go with the Xfinity drivers. Usually I pick them first. First, I'm going to go and pick Bubba. He's driving the Cheez-It car this week. We talked about his fight with Scott Graves, crew chief for Chris Buescher. I think finally the momentum for the 6 will pay off in a win. My second pick for the Xfinities, I'm going to go out in a limb, and I'm going to pick Brendan Gaughan, who's got his first Xfinity win on a road course back at Road America last year. I think now after the finish he had at Iowa, it'll come back and help him. In terms of the Cup regulars who tend to run here, my first pick, I'm going to go with Brad, who running the Hertz car this week. I think he'll actually do something in that car. Penske seems to do things in this car anyway. Kurt won here in 2011 with Penske, also in 2006. So I figure a Cup, if it's going to be a Cup guy, it might be someone from Penske. And my second pick, I'm going to go out and pick Young Money. They don't have a sponsor for him this week. They haven't announced it yet. But more than likely, if it's going to be a Cup guy, it'll either be Brad or Larson, considering how good they are. In terms of dark horses, I'm going to go with my first pick, and I'm going to go with the guy who's leaving the team at the end of the year and at Roush with Sadler. Eventually, he's got to at least get one win with this team, whether if it's at a road course or a short track or an intermediate. He's got to get a win sooner or later. And, of course, my second pick, I'm going to go out on a limb and pick him, and I'm going to say let's see, who's in the 20? Okay. Oh, great, Kenny Hable's in the 20. I wonder if Denny
Hamlin's boyfriend, you mean?
Denny Hamlin's butt buddy.
Yeah.
I think my second pick, in terms of a dark horse, I'm going to go and say Daddy Baby Bucks with Menard. I think he knows how to run a road course, but even though he's never won at a road course as of late, but I think he'll have a shot to do it. In terms of overall, I'm going to go out and say Brad wins it. Brad wins the whole thing.
I'm going to pick I'm going to go with Boris Said. It's not just because I'm a fan of his, longtime fan when he was driving for Ernie Irvan in the Federated Auto Parts Ford for the Irvan SEMO team. I've been a fan for a long time of Boris. He's a great guy. He's driving the 54 car, so it's not a reach. He's finished third. He's finished second in the Cup race there. It's the perfect circumstance for him to actually go and pull off a big win. I'm picking him to win. I might as well go on a reach because if it were me, I would pick one of the Penske guys to win the race on Saturday. I mean, if Harvick was there, it would make a little difference, but not. It's Menard, and Ben Rhodes is in the 88. So I'm picking Boris Said to win. If it's going to be an Xfinity guy, if I would pick an Xfinity guy, this is a hard one for sure. I would go with the points leader, Chris Buescher, winner at Mid-Ohio last year. He's probably a little bummed about his last week's result, trying to keep it, contained, even though him and Bubba have to solve their problems, but that's a whole other thing. In terms of the Cup regular, I'll go with Adam. In terms of Brad, the 22 car runs well anywhere. So I qualified instead of it being, basically it'll work out as my winner and dark horse is Boris Said. which is kind of cheating when you consider who he's driving for, but considering he's like 100 years old, who knows how well it will really work out. In terms of Larson, supposedly he's going to be running a Crest car, Crest white strips or Crest car, like the old Dr. Jack Miller, who was a furniture mover in IndyCar racing and a moving chicane, but in this case it'll be driven by somebody good.
Yeah, I think Boris will do good. I totally forgot he's in the 54, but I think he'll do good. If he wins, I would be happy for him because he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and he's been around for a long time in terms of his Trans Am prowess and all that stuff. Former Trans Am champion.
Yeah, I think Boris will do good. Now we're going to head into the Sunday race, the Cheezer 355. Allmendinger won last year, as we talked about earlier. We recorded the race, recorded our show after the race on Tuesday or whenever the fuck we did. It was one of our early episodes, and we're back again at Watkins Glen. I'm going to go with my picks first. I'm going to go with the two mains. I think we'll do it. First, I'm going to go and pick Stewart, not a dark horse. I'm going to pick him as a main guy, considering Watkins Glen's one of his best tracks. Hasn't won there since 2009. Got an
5 wins there.
Yep, most recent win in 2009 in the Old Spice car. Only time he ever won in the Old Spice car. Second pick, I'm going to go out and say Gordon. In his last start at Watkins Glen, he won 3 in a row from, 4 in a row, 97, 98, 99, 2000. Yeah, so 3 in a row.
No, Steve Park won in 2000.
Yeah, Steve Park did that. And then he won again in 01. So Gordon, in his last start, I think he'll do something in terms of dark horses. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Boyer because it's, he's in the Maxwell House car. People keep talking about his possible exit from Mongoloid Waltrip Racing. Figure he needs a win, and who better to get it out than a road course, a place where he's never won before. And my second dark horse, I'm going to go with Allmendinger. He won this race last year. Figure he can go back-to-back. And in terms of overall, I'm going to say Gordon. Gordon wins it all on Sunday.
Yeah, I figure Gordon's saving it for Bristol when he's driving the Rainbow car. That's my reason I'm not going to pick him. He's had a brutal year in general, being the R&D car or whatever. I mean, him and Gustafson are basically done with each other. I hope that they change crew chiefs for Chase because Gustafson sucks, but that's beside the point. In terms of my pick to win the race at Watkins Glen this weekend, I'm gonna pick. It's pretty tough, actually. There's a lot of good. Basically, because of Boris said, there's a lot of good guys, good road racers. I'm gonna say this is probably the hardest decision I've had ever since I started this deal. Quite frankly, I'm gonna pick Harvick. He blew up so early in the race. He's probably gonna be PO'd and want to go and win. He's former winner at Watkins Glen, beat Tony for his win there in 2006 when he was on his heater there. I'm going to pick Harvick to win. I would like one of my guys to win, but I will say that Tony it's a reach to call him a dark horse when he's a 5-time winner there, but at the end of the day, for as bad as he's run since mid-2012, it is a dark horse pick. I'm picking Tony as a dark horse. He's run well the last 2 weeks. This is his best track statistically, or one of. In terms of an outside shot, it's basically a coin toss. The 32 is a piece of trash car. Boris is in it, and they have the great Genesee beer car running this weekend. So for my mentor, Professor Nickerson, he lived off of Genesee beer back in Buffalo, and that's basically my justification for picking that. So I'm picking Harvick to win on Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully whoever wins, as long as it's not the 22 or the 48, even the 18, I'd like to see another good one at Watkins Glen. It's been a showstopper since 2011, since Ambrose versus Kyle versus Brad, so we'll hopefully see a good one on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, now it's our favorite thing of the week. It's questions, and guess who's back in town? Our good buddy Nate.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Let's see. First, he starts with, I want to be at the front of the line. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man may be a little slow this year at times, but he gets it done. Did Richard get rammed at the rear in the nose? Good or what?
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. I made the effed up comment. Gordon Smiley'd it, but he didn't obviously go that far because he's still alive. But there's a reason why why my blog is called Unfiltered, and I was saying that to Randy, and I mean, whatever. It wasn't as bad as it seemed on TV or on the screens over there. I don't think. I mean, he's kind of irrelevant at the end of the day. It's typical. I mean, at Pocono, he hits something or someone, so it's typical.
How many folks know Gunjar's second grade teachers were in attendance today? How many years did Gunjar actually take second grade? Hint, somewhere between 8 to 15 years. That's a good one. I had no idea that Junior even had teachers back in the day. I thought he was doing it all by himself, considering how he talks. Dale Senior, he was a smart dude, as much as people like to give him hell for it. He could have been Junior's teacher, and Junior probably would have been actually driving like his dad, and actually would have not been a PC pussy. But yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Now, how many flippin' frickin' fucking times is Liz gonna ask us to keep it clean?
Yeah, well, it's not really a problem.
Yeah, we're unfiltered for a reason.
Yeah.
Does anyone any Midel can land Elizabeth, please?
Can anybody what? Okay, I have to go on and this. What is? I have to read. I just got on Facebook, so apologies for that. Yeah, I was yelling Alabama man too. That was fun. Yelling Alabama man at the racetrack because the reference, nobody got the reference. But how many? Who I'm going to ask? Does anyone I don't know what he does when he types, or if it's like autocorrect. Does anyone have any Midol they can? Yeah, well, I don't think she'll be happy about hearing that, but she probably needs it.
What's been happening with the Fat Felon crew? Is it because they are being watched so they can't cheat lately, wreaking havoc on their program?
It's just that all the stuff's going over to JGR. The JGR and Toyota have to go and get the help, but they've been on a run for a while. I mean, I don't really care for it because it's not my guys, but it's going to end up being Hendrick versus JGR versus the 4 and 41, which is basically Hendrick 2 if you think about it. So at the end of the day, and I hopefully one or both of the Penske guys are there to make it interesting once the chase really starts.
Will Phil come back from Pocono with a special report on how many driver RVs that he snuck into over the weekend?
I fucking missed that bastard. Yeah, I didn't get into any of them. I went to a few tents, but those were with cars, and I was buying stuff. I didn't get any whores or Junebug fans I wanted to procreate with Indian redneck, so that was a shame.
When Kane hit the pit road wall early in the race, how many soccer moms went on suicide watch?
Too many!
That's sad when Casey Kane only appeals to prepubescent teenage girls and soccer moms. Jesus Christ.
Yes, pathetic.
Will Shrub revert to acting like a spoiled 5-year-old because he was not allowed to win his 4th race in a row?
He did it on Sunday anyway, so kind of makes sense.
Will Shrub's crew chief mail him a Christmas bomb for throwing him under the bus today after leading him to 3 wins in a row?
I mean, he does it all the time, but the difference is Adam Stevens can withhold a pit crew while eating Krispies, so... Krispies!
How does Clint Boyer get in the chase with his 1,000-day losing streak? That's easy, Sheridan. He doesn't.
If he backs into a win on fuel mileage, I mean, that's basically the only way it's going to happen. He ran halfway decent on Sunday, but it wasn't anything to win. We'll see what happens with Boyer, but I think the minute he gets to a government motors car, I think he'll be much better off.
When will Smoke admit that he's tanking the season to make the bimbo look better?
That's a false statement based on the last 2 weeks. Earlier in the season, I might have agreed with that. If it weren't for his god-awful crew chief and their terrible strategy that he makes, he would probably have better finishes. He finished better than Pucamania on Sunday and would have finished 6th or 5th if it weren't for running out of fuel right on the front straightaway. I don't believe that he's complete. I don't think he's tanking. It has nothing to do with the Hummer. It's more about his own personal demons that are...
Now that JGR has won the last 4 races and 5 of the last 6, when will NASCAR finally go back to giving HMS extra assistance, quote-unquote?
It'll be soon enough. Probably around Bristol.
And Dennis's question, is Rob Kaufman going to keep buying race teams until he buys one that can win?
That's a good one by Dennis. I figure that this time when he gets away from that fruitcake that he'll actually be with the winner, because cheap wins basically everywhere but Cup. So now with Boyer going over there and Young Money needing a little assistance and in general, I think that whole team will benefit from that move.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, we usually end this by saying we're proud members of the Nerdport Network. There's 5 shows including ours. Liz has these shows memorized. Unfortunately, I don't. But I just want to say a big shout out to JP and Ronnie for giving us opportunity for us to be able to keep recording NASCAST 500 here on MPN. I usually go out saying by my plugs. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/AdamLovesNortonWriter. I'm on Twitter at the Desert Bandit. I only go on there during the race weekends and bullshit with Phil. Also to piss off random 48 fans and dipshit lame streamers. I'm also on YouTube, youtube.com/SonOfAnet1988. Of course, our NASCAST 500 has a YouTube page, www.youtube.com. In the search bar, type in NASCAST 500. Also, check out my racing blog, AdamCrockett94.wordpress.com. I basically write articles for NASCAR, for NASCAR type articles. My most recent article has to do with NASCAR and Fox, and they need to hang it up, or at least get people who can actually call races. Hint, hint, our Lord and Savior, Ralph Shaheen. Shaheen be praised. Also, check out our good buddy Chuck Allison's page, SaveStockCarRacing.com, and check out his GoFundMe, Save Stock Car Racing. Also, give our good buddy Michael Sanders a look at keeping an eye on the NASCAR media, and check out our group page, www.facebook.com/groups/NASCAST500. If you're a HMS Kool-Aid drinker who supports the 10 and the 88 and the 48, probably isn't the best group for you. And I always say this every time at the end of the show. Richard17 on Twitter. Danica's backdoor, no loop. Skeet, skeet, skeet. KY Jelly.
Yeah, trying to see what was going on with that. It needs to get a little more of an extension in social media for sure. I'm on Twitter at Philip G. Matthew. I was off the grid because I didn't have any service over in PA. In terms of my blog, I'm on philipgmatthew.wordpress.com, the unfiltered blog. I also work for nextgenindy.com, and whether it's both IndyCar, NASCAR, different motorsports series, I'll be covering on there. and Facebook.com/PhilipGMatthew. And I post about mostly about motorsports, but sports. And my favorite race of the year, or one of my favorite races of the year, is Watkins Glen. I love Watkins Glen. It's one of the greatest racetracks ever. And I'm looking forward to this weekend. We'll see what happens.
All right, with that being said, for the missing Elizabeth, for my good buddy Phil, I'm Adam. You guys have a good day.